Let me tell you something sometimes. The most powerful response you can give in life isn't a loud comeback or a fiery retort. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say absolutely nothing. That's right, nothing. Your silence can speak volumes. It can shake the room. It can echo louder than any shout ever could. When someone disrespects you, their goal is simple. They want to rattle you. They want to see you flinch. They're looking for a reaction because a reaction means they've got control. It means they've struck a nerve. But when you don't respond, when you keep your composure, when you hold your peace, oh, you flip the script. You take all that power back. You leave them with nothing to feed on but their own insecurity. Let's be real here, silence is a weapon. It's the kind of power they don't teach you in school, but it's one of the most effective tools you've got. See, when you react, you give them a piece of you. But when you stay silent, they're left standing there, exposed, drowning in the weight of their own words. And let me tell you, that silence is deafening. It's the sound of their own failure echoing back at them. This isn't about weakness. No, this is about strength. This is about self-respect. It's about standing so firm in who you are that you don't feel the need to explain yourself to people who don't even deserve your energy. Because let's face it, if someone is throwing disrespect your way, that's not a reflection of you. That's a reflection of them. That's their chaos trying to invade your peace. Don't let it. And let me remind you, your silence doesn't mean you're passive. It doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strategic. You're letting them reveal their true selves while you protect your dignity. Every word you don't say is a reminder to them and to yourself that you're operating on a higher level. You don't play in the mud because you know the dirt doesn't belong to you. So the next time someone comes at you sideways, remember this: your silence isn't submission, it's sophistication. It's confidence, it's class. Let them wonder. Let them stew. Let them feel the weight of your stillness. Because in that moment, they'll realize something. They'll realize they messed up. And trust me, that realization, that's what will kill them. Not your words, your silence. Silence carries a weight that words sometimes cannot match. When you choose not to respond to disrespect, you're making a statement louder, clearer, and more impactful than any verbal comeback. It's not about backing down or giving in. It's about standing firm in your power. It's about showing that you're so secure in who you are, so confident in your value, that you don't need to engage in a battle that's beneath you. Think about it. When someone disrespects you, they're throwing bait, hoping you'll bite. They want you to argue, to defend, to explain yourself. But when you stay silent, you don't just ignore them, you elevate above them. That silence, it's a mirror reflecting their own behavior back at them. It forces them to sit with their own words, their own actions, and the weight of their own inadequacies. There's a power in silence that people don't expect. They expect rage, they expect tears, they expect anything but stillness. And when you give them that unexpected calm, it's disarming. It's unsettling. It's powerful. They realize they've hit a wall they can't break, a strength they can't shake. And in that realization, they lose their power. Your silence doesn't just protect your peace, it turns the entire situation on its head, leaving them to face the emptiness of their disrespect. Silence, when wielded with intention, becomes your loudest roar. It's not about suppressing your voice, it's about using your voice in a way they never saw coming. It's about showing the world and yourself that true power lies not in how you react, but in how you rise above. When someone disrespects you, their primary goal is often to provoke you. They want to see you react, to watch you lose your cool, to feel like they have some kind of control over your emotions. But when you refuse to give them that satisfaction, when you stay calm, composed, and silent, you take all the power back. You remind them and yourself that you are in charge of your reaction, not them. Think about how rare true control over emotions really is. Most people are quick to respond, quick to defend themselves, or quick to lash out. It's a knee-jerk reaction driven by ego and pride. But when you resist that urge, when you pause and hold back, you're doing something extraordinary. You're demonstrating emotional intelligence, self-mastery, and a level of composure that's impossible to ignore. Staying silent in the face of disrespect isn't about avoiding conflict, it's about deciding that the conflict isn't worth your energy. It's about recognizing that your time and peace of mind are far too valuable to be wasted on someone who's trying to drag you down. Every time you choose not to react, you're reinforcing your boundaries. You're saying, I'm not playing this game because I'm above it. And here's the beautiful thing about control: it throws people off. When they don't get the reaction they're fishing for, it frustrates them. It confuses them. It forces them to question their approach. Meanwhile, you stay in your zone, unaffected and untouchable, proving that no one has the power to dictate your behavior unless you allow it. Your silence is a testament to your strength. It's a refusal to hand over your power. It's a reminder to the world and to yourself that you control your story, your actions, and your peace. When you master your reactions, you master your life. When you remain silent in the face of disrespect, you're making a bold and unspoken declaration: I know my worth. You're telling the world and the person trying to bring you down that their words or actions have no bearing on your value. You're standing tall in your truth, showing that your self-worth doesn't waver based on someone else's opinion or attempt to belittle you. Disrespect often comes from a place of insecurity. People project their own fears, failures, or frustrations onto others, hoping to make themselves feel bigger by making someone else feel smaller. But when you don't respond, when you don't even acknowledge their attempts, you refuse to play their game. You're telling them, without saying a word, that their negativity has no place in your world. This isn't arrogance, it's confidence. It's understanding that your value isn't determined by how others treat you, but by how you carry yourself. It's recognizing that you don't need to prove your worth to anyone, especially not to someone who's trying to tear you down. By staying silent, you're protecting your energy, guarding your peace, and reinforcing your belief in yourself. And here's the thing people notice: your silence sends a clear message to everyone watching the situation unfold. It shows them that you're someone who commands respect without demanding it. It shows that you're secure enough in who you are to let disrespect roll off your back, untouched and unbothered. Most importantly, your silence is a gift to yourself. It's a reminder that you don't need to lower yourself to their level. It's an act of self-love, a quiet but powerful affirmation that says, I am enough, just as I am. Your silence isn't just a response, it's a reflection of the unshakable belief you have in your own worth. When someone disrespects you, they're often hoping to shift the spotlight away from their own flaws, insecurities, or shortcomings. They throw negativity your way, hoping it will mask their own issues. But when you respond with silence, you flip the narrative entirely. You leave them standing in the harsh light of their own behavior with no distractions to hide behind. Silence acts like a mirror, forcing the person to confront their own actions. When you don't react, you're not giving them an escape route. Instead, they're left alone with their words or actions, replaying in their minds, louder and clearer with every second of your quiet. They expected a fight, but what they got was a moment of reflection, one they didn't anticipate and probably didn't want. The beauty of this approach is that it exposes the truth about who they are. Without your reaction to deflect attention, all eyes stay on them. Their words hang in the air, unchallenged but also unsupported. People begin to notice the pettiness, the insecurity, or the unkindness behind their actions. And that's the thing about disrespect: it reveals far more about the one giving it than the one receiving it. Your silence becomes their loudest critic. It highlights their behavior in a way no argument ever could. It forces them to deal with their own reflection, and often that reflection isn't pretty. They realize, perhaps for the first time, that their disrespect doesn't diminish you, it diminishes them. Over time, this exposure can lead to a powerful shift. Either they'll continue to be uncomfortable enough to change their behavior, or they'll double down and reveal even more of their character to the world. Either way, you win. By refusing to engage, you protect your dignity while allowing their true colors to show. Your silence, in the end, becomes a magnifying glass, revealing everything they were trying to hide. When disrespect comes your way, it's easy to feel the pull to react, to defend yourself, to argue, or to prove a point. But the moment you engage, you risk inviting chaos into your space. You open the door to negativity, and suddenly their bad energy becomes a part of your world. That's why your silence isn't just a response, it's an act of self-preservation. It's a way of saying, I value my peace too much to let you disturb it. Your peace is your sanctuary. It's where your confidence, clarity, and strength reside. And protecting that peace is one of the greatest acts of self-care you can practice. When you choose silence over confrontation, you're choosing to guard your mental and emotional well-being. You're refusing to let someone else's poor behavior dictate how you feel or act. Disrespect thrives on reaction. It feeds on conflict. on the back and forth that drags both parties into a toxic exchange. But when you remain silent, you starve it of the attention it craves. You don't just protect your peace, you strengthen it. Your silence creates a boundary, a clear line that says, your chaos ends here. It doesn't cross into my world. And here's the truth: people who try to provoke you often aren't worth your energy. Their disrespect is a reflection of their inner turmoil, not a reflection of your worth. By staying silent, you're refusing to take on the weight of their issues. You're leaving their negativity with them where it belongs and keeping your peace intact. Silence isn't avoidance, it's empowerment. It's choosing to prioritize your well-being over their need for attention. It's recognizing that your time, energy, and peace are far too valuable to be squandered on meaningless conflict. When you protect your peace, you're not just responding to the moment, you're setting the tone for your life. And that tone says, I am calm. I am confident. I am untouchable. Silence is not weakness, it's strategy. It's the choice to play the long game instead of reacting impulsively in the heat of the moment. When someone disrespects you, their goal is to provoke, to push your buttons, and to get you to react. But when you choose silence, you're showing that you're not operating on their level, you're operating above it. You're making a calculated decision to rise above the noise, to conserve your energy, and to let your actions speak louder than their words. Choosing not to engage isn't about surrendering, it's about understanding the bigger picture. It's about recognizing that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every slight deserves a response. By staying silent, you're taking control of the narrative. You're saying without words that you don't need to explain yourself, defend yourself, or prove anything to anyone who doesn't respect you in the first place. Silence is powerful because it forces others to reveal themselves. When you don't react, the disrespectful person is left to fill the void. Often, their true intentions, insecurities, or immaturity come to light. Your silence becomes a spotlight, shining brightly on their behavior while you remain calm and composed in the background. This strategic approach also allows you to protect your energy and focus on what truly matters. Instead of wasting time on someone who doesn't value you, you can redirect that energy into your goals, your passions, and the people who uplift and support you. It's about playing your own game on your own terms rather than getting dragged into someone else's chaos. And here's the beauty of silence as a strategy: it keeps you in control. You decide when, where, and how you respond, if you respond at all. You're not giving away your power by reacting impulsively. Instead, you're standing firm, unshaken, and in complete command of the situation. It's not just a lack of response, it's a deliberate move that speaks volumes. Your silence says, I see what you're doing, but I'm not playing your game. I'm playing my own, and I'm winning. Silence has a way of making people uncomfortable, especially when they're expecting a reaction. Disrespect thrives on engagement, it feeds on conflict and the energy that comes with it. When someone disrespects you, they're anticipating a fight, an argument, or at the very least, a defensive response. But when you choose silence, you deny them that satisfaction. Instead of getting the reaction they were hoping for, they're left to sit in the stillness of your quiet. And that stillness is not just silence, it's a vacuum. It forces them to confront the weight of their own actions without the distraction of your words. It's in this uncomfortable space that their discomfort begins to grow. They start to question themselves: did I go too far? Was I wrong? Why didn't they react? Your silence becomes a mirror reflecting their actions back at them, magnified by the absence of your response. This discomfort doesn't just unsettle them, it can also expose their vulnerabilities. The louder their disrespect, the more deafening your silence becomes. It amplifies their insecurity, making them second-guess their approach. They expected resistance, but what they got was a wall of calm, unyielding and unshaken. And that wall, it's impenetrable. It shows that their words have no power over you. Silence doesn't just unsettle individuals, it can shift the dynamic of an entire room. Witnesses to the exchange see your poise and control contrasting starkly with the other person's negativity. Your silence speaks volumes, saying, I'm not bothered. I'm not moved, I'm better than this. It's a level of strength and composure that's hard to ignore and impossible not to respect. The discomfort of your silence becomes their problem, not yours. While they wrestle with the awkwardness and uncertainty of their actions, you remain at peace, untouchable. Over time, this lack of reaction can make them think twice before disrespecting you or anyone else again. Your silence isn't just a response, it's a lesson, one that leaves an impact long after the moment has passed. There's a certain grace in refusing to engage with disrespect, a kind of quiet sophistication that speaks louder than words ever could. When you choose silence over conflict, you're making a powerful statement: I don't need to lower myself to your level. It's not about avoiding the situation, it's about rising above it with dignity and tact, showing that your energy is far too valuable to waste on petty exchanges. Silence is elegance in motion. It demonstrates a level of maturity and composure that's hard to come by in a world that often encourages loud, impulsive reactions. When someone disrespects you, they expect a heated response or a defensive argument. But when you remain calm and silent, you completely disarm them. Your silence becomes a wall of strength, a barrier they can't penetrate no matter how hard they try. This approach isn't just about self-control, it's about self-respect. It's about knowing that your worth isn't determined by someone else's words or actions. By refusing to engage, you're affirming that you hold yourself to a higher standard. You're showing that you won't be dragged into the mud, because you know exactly who you are, and who you are is far above the negativity they're trying to project onto you. And it's not just about how you feel, it's about how others perceive you. When you choose silence, you project confidence and authority. People notice when someone remains composed in the face of adversity. It sets you apart, making it clear that you're someone who operates on a higher frequency. You're not here to argue or prove yourself, you're here to lead with poise and principle. The beauty of this strategy is that it doesn't escalate the situation, it diffuses it. Your silence sends a clear message without adding fuel to the fire. It leaves the person who disrespected you standing alone in their chaos, while you stand firm in your peace.
It's a subtle but profound way of showing strength, not through words or actions, but through the restraint and wisdom to know when to stay quiet.
In the end, your silence becomes a mark of your character. It's a reminder to yourself and to the world that you choose class over conflict, elegance over ego, and sophistication over senseless drama. It's a choice to protect your peace, preserve your dignity, and move through life with unshakable grace. Silence, when used intentionally, often has a far greater impact than words ever could. In a world where everyone seems to have something to say, where opinions are thrown around freely and loud reactions are the norm, choosing to remain silent can make you stand out in a way that's impossible to ignore. It's a strategic move that leaves a lasting impression, one that speaks not only to the person who disrespects you, but to everyone who witnesses the exchange. There's power in the absence of words. When you don't react, when you don't give in to the temptation to defend yourself or argue, you leave a space for reflection, both for yourself and for the person who attempted to disrespect you. Your silence is not just an absence, it's filled with meaning. It says, I don't need to explain myself because I already know who I am. It says, you can't disturb my peace because I am grounded in my worth. It sends a message of strength and confidence, a message that no matter how loud or disrespectful someone may be, you are untouchable in your calm. This impact isn't fleeting, it lingers long after the moment passes. People who witness the situation are likely to remember your silence more than they would any argument or heated exchange. They'll remember how you handled the disrespect with poise and self-restraint. They'll recognize that your silence was a direct response to the immaturity of the situation, and that will speak volumes about your character. In a world that often rewards the loudest voices, your silence makes a statement that's difficult to ignore or forget. Silence doesn't just prevent the situation from escalating, it shifts the focus. It takes the energy away from the negativity and places it back on the person who is trying to instigate conflict. The longer you remain silent, the more uncomfortable it makes them. They are forced to face the consequences of their own disrespect with no deflection or escape. In the silence, their own actions become the focal point. And in that space, they often begin to question their own behavior, realizing the fault lies with them, not you. Moreover, silence often forces people to reconsider their approach in the future. They realize that their words and actions didn't have the desired effect, they didn't get the reaction they were expecting. This can lead to self-reflection, making them more cautious in how they treat you, and perhaps even others. Your silence teaches them that their attempts to provoke you won't work. It teaches them that you are not easily shaken or swayed. In the grand scheme of things, silence becomes a tool of influence. It's a quiet power that leaves an indelible mark on the situation and on the people involved. It's a lesson in strength, maturity, and self-control. It's a subtle yet profound way of showing that you don't need to speak to be heard, and that your presence alone is enough to command respect. The ability to remain silent in the face of disrespect isn't just a passive choice, it's an active demonstration of strength and discipline. There's a deep power in holding your tongue when every fiber of your being might want to lash out. It's not about being afraid to speak or about avoiding confrontation. It's about recognizing that the most powerful thing you can do in that moment is to stay calm, composed, and unaffected. It's an acknowledgement that your emotional responses are yours to control, and that control is your greatest asset. Silence in these moments is an act of restraint, a conscious decision to choose peace over chaos, wisdom over impulsiveness, and maturity over childish conflict. The ability to resist the urge to react shows emotional intelligence. It demonstrates that you understand the bigger picture, that engaging in a disrespectful exchange would only lower you to their level. And that's not where you want to be. You're in control of the situation because you're in control of your response. This is strength at its core. When you stay silent, you're also showing a level of inner strength that many people don't understand. It takes far more energy and discipline to remain calm in the face of provocation than it does to retaliate. It's easy to fire back in anger, to throw words back in their face, but it requires wisdom, patience, and emotional maturity to hold your peace and let their negativity pass by you without leaving a mark. In that moment, you become an example to others of how to respond with dignity, setting a standard for how conflict should be handled without noise, without drama, and without unnecessary destruction. And perhaps the most powerful aspect of this is that your silence ultimately makes a statement without you saying a word. By not reacting, you show that you are above the petty games of disrespect. You refuse to let someone else's actions dictate how you feel. And in doing so, you send a clear message: I am not easily rattled. I am strong enough to rise above this. You demonstrate that you don't need to prove anything, especially to someone who doesn't respect you. You're secure in who you are, and no amount of disrespect will ever change that. The act of remaining silent is also a profound form of self-care. It's a choice to protect your energy, your mental peace, and your emotional well-being. Instead of getting caught up in a cycle of negativity, you choose to preserve your peace, to stay grounded in who you are, and to maintain a sense of balance that nothing can disturb. It's an ongoing reminder that you are in charge of your emotions, and that emotional resilience is a powerful form of strength. So let's wrap this up. Every time you choose silence over disrespect, you're making a choice to rise above the chaos. You're showing the world that your peace, your strength, and your self-worth are untouchable. People may try to provoke you, but what they don't understand is that your silence is your loudest message. It's louder than any argument, more powerful than any defense, and more lasting than any insult. You're not backing down, you're not weak. You're standing firm in your power, letting your silence do the talking.